Hi there. The next book I'm going to talk about is in the non-fiction category, and it's really the first book of its type that I read. It's a book on the subject of gunfighting, and it was given to me for Christmas by Terry O'Neill one year, and it was the start really of me amassing quite a library of similar books on this subject over the years. But this was the first, and it's still a really great book. No second place winner by Bill Jordan. Now, Bill Jordan was a member of the United States Border Patrol down on the Texas Mexican border, the Rio Grande, when it was a particularly lawless time. There was a lot of smuggling, a lot of crime on both sides of the border, which tended to cross over. Um, Nothing's changed much till the present day. The Border Patrol, then as now, were tasked with policing this area on a federal level, and Bill was one of the officers who had to do that. And a lot of the work back then was actually done on horseback. The book covers a lot of different aspects. Bill was a big proponent of the revolver. That was the issue weapon at the time, a 357 revolver, which was actually the most common sidearm in law enforcement at the time throughout the United States, either 38 or a 357. And Bill became a noted expert with the revolver, particularly in the fast draw uh, work from the holster. And he designed his own holster, which was produced by Don Hume Leather, called the Jordan holster. And I believe it was Masayub who, many years later, found out that Bill hadn't had any royalties from this and managed to right that situation. And Bill started making some money from his design. All that's in the book. With advice on holster placement. He does not like the cross draw, for example, for police use. There's a whole section on drawing from covert under a jacket. The technique is pretty much as we would do it today. And a lot of anecdotes and information from the Border Times. Bill has definite views on the auto pistol, for example, and he didn't really regard it as suitable for law enforcement. He says, as a military weapon against a massed banzai attack, it would be hard to beat. Its greatest disadvantages are that it is slow for the first shot. In most models, it's not a natural pointer, and it's limited in the power of the loads which are available. Maybe some of that at the time was accurate. I think he goes on to mention reliability as well. But obviously, in later years, law enforcement made a massive switch to the semi-automatic pistol. A little anecdote, I was talking to some of the guys in Southern Africa who had Bill down to their range for a seminar, and this was back in the 70s, and obviously he was teaching the revolver technique, but several of them were using either the Browning or the Colt auto pistol, and then they finished off with a bit of a competition, and most of the auto pistols malfunctioned, and Bill's comment was just the defense rests. So it kind of proved his point. At the time in the 70s, there were problems with ammunition. In Southern Africa, there were a lot of problems with the supply of ammunition. And that has completely been addressed in the modern era. And auto pistols are generally regarded as the way to go. But for a certain time and place, skill with a revolver was very necessary. And Bill was one of the top on the planet. He used to do demonstrations of drawing and hitting a target in incredibly fast times. The one comment I would make is that there was no real Jordan school of pistol craft. I think he was a bit of a one-off, a natural shooter, um, similar to Delph Bryce, who just naturally was born with the ability to handle the weapon really, really quickly, fast vision and so on. So he didn't pass it on to. I'm not aware of anyone else who kind of followed in his footsteps, having been taught by him. Unlike some of the other people, for Colonel Cooper, for example, who started a whole a new type of pistol shooting, which has thrown up a lot of the very, very expert people now who are far, far better shooters than the guys were back in the original days. So that didn't really happen. I never met Bill Jordan really, but I did see him at Heathrow once. Um, I was on my way to the United States for a training course, and Bill was in the gate area um, uh, about to fly out to South Africa, where he was going hunting, I would imagine. Very recognisable character. And I really wanted to go and talk to him, but I was stuck talking to a customs official doing the paperwork on my pistol. And the customs official didn't really speak English very, very well. So that was a bit of a struggle. And by the time we got that sorted out, um, Bill's flight had departed. And I spoke to one of the chaps in the United States and mentioned I'd seen Bill at Heathrow and I hadn't been able to speak to him. And he said, "Oh, that's a pity." He said, "Bill would have really liked to talk to you. He's a real people person." And that kind of thing does come over in the book. So uh, for me, it was the first book in really a whole genre of weapons oriented, firearms oriented titles, which I'll be talking about some of the others in this series. Uh, I'd probably read it again, go back to it once every year or so, and I still get a lot of stuff out of it. Um, so I think anyone watching this would find No Second Place Winner a very enjoyable book.